Hey guys, welcome to Twin Peaks, Twin Perspective. Tonight we're going to be breaking down Twin Peaks: The Return, Part 9. This is the chair. Alright, Brother James. I'm Brother Joe and he's Brother James. Full spoilers for everything Twin Peaks. Brother James, what did you think about Part 9? This is the chair.
Halfway there.
Mm-hmm.
I would give them all 8, 9s, or 10s, so I don't want to give it a 10 ranking system. I want to rank it with the other parts, and it's right there with part 7. It feels like right where we left off. Everything's moving in a nice direction. I really like the languishing Lynch is still there, even though we're fast-paced as far as progress. So that's what I'm enjoying the most. I mean, I love the detour from last week, and if they do another detour like that, it would be wasted. We're gonna have some Black Lodge detours like that left.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to spend some time on the other side for sure.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was among the best of the Return, and right now I think the Return is rivaling the original for my favorite series ever. The show surprises me all the time, and I thought before my favorite was Part 7, and I think Part 3 and Part 8 are monumental events in television history. So I rank those a 10 regardless. And 7's actually my favorite. And now 9, this is the chair, and it rivals 7. I think it's just like you said, it drives the plot.
Lots of member berries.
And so well done. I think that people that bailed out and didn't get a chance to see this, they're missing out. I mean, so many old characters came back in this. Betty Briggs, Sylvia Horne, Johnny Horne, and
Johnny's still beating his head on things.
Wow, we had some spaced out moments here between the action with Johnny and with Jerry in the woods. Still in the woods, he's lost.
This is my foot.
I am not your foot. So beautifully done. We're going to get to that scene in a minute. Okay, Twin Peaks Twin Perspective. We are the serious Twin Peaks fans. I'm the fanatic. I love everything that's going on right now. And I have a hard time with people that are reviewing the show and being negative about nitpicky things. I mean, that's okay if that's the way you want to roll. You go ahead. If it bothers you, it bothers you.
But all of it sounds like it's the Lynch in them that bothers him, like the telltale signs that it's Lynch irritates people. The languishing, the way he tells the story. They always find some kind of little nitpicking thing, and it's like, well, then you just don't like Lynch.
Right.
You just don't like really Twin Peaks.
You lack the imagination to keep up with it, I believe. They don't like the imagery. They don't like the vagueness. They don't like to have to put the pieces together themselves. It's not your typical television viewing.
And I like the fact that when Jerry's looking at his foot, I thought for sure he was going to pull out a gold shovel and chop his foot off with it. And the reason being is because it's David Lynch, and you just don't know.
It's still in the cards.
But when that possibility arises, you're watching something. You don't know what to expect,
right?
And you're watching something special,
right? And just about everything else on television, within the first 20 minutes, you've got the bad guy pegged. It's almost anticlimactic. When you get to the end, it's like, okay, you saw this coming. You have no idea what's coming up with every episode. I mean, this episode opens, and we're not sure if we're going to be back in the 50s. I kind of thought for a while they might do a whole episode covering the 60s and the 70s too. Why not? Just get it all. I don't believe we're ever going to hear any answers from Part 8. I don't think they're ever going to touch back on that. enough to really solidify all of the loose ends that people have there.
It's actually the episode that I followed easiest, like that my mind didn't expand to possibilities. It pretty much was pinpoint exactly. I read exactly what he was showing.
It felt right too.
This last episode, I have more questions than I did with 8, just because of the the mystery isn't the Bob and Senorita Dido and
Right.
the giant or the fireman or the question mark man.
Right.
To me, that's kind of just
That was
broad paint brushes and what we got going on
a
here.
history lesson using imagery.
Perfect.
And what we have going on here is it's more direct. It's more it's plot. It's driving the plot. This episode, part 9, really drove some stuff, and I think I've heard some people complain that it asked too many questions, but I really think it sewed up quite a bit of mystery. I mean, we were
everything's tightened in now. There's no outside the box. Some people said that, we met more characters, but they're in a story that we already know about. You assume the new characters we met and who they're going to be associating with. This has already been established. I don't think there's going to be any other establishing storylines that we'll have to follow. We got it from Red to Richard Horn to...
Right. So when we see, what's their name, Chloe and Ella at the end. You know,
Sky Ferrari?
Yeah, Ferrari. I don't know. And Lynch is very special to do something like that. You know, I hate armpits to begin with. I hate rashes. And he just put it right up there. A couple of times. Make sure you don't miss it. All right, let's get down to the breakdown. Coming from the Twin Peaks fans that, you know, love the show, and we're going to bash it, the parts that bother us too. Maybe you'll think it's silly. I thought some of it was silly, so get ready for that. All right, we start off with, we didn't know what. We start off with this bright sunshine, and there's Mr. C walking down the dirt road. Ray said he was going to the farm, and I assume that's where Mr. C was going, but when we get to this place and he grabs this red handkerchief or
bandana?
Yeah, a handkerchief. It's a hanky. And he puts it in his pocket, and I'm thinking, okay, that marked the place. But was this the place they were going? Because
I don't think it's the same farm.
It can't be. Because
he never said, did Ray show up, by the way?
Where's Ray, by the way?
Right, there was no mention of Ray.
Okay, so
different farm. Farmers live there. Lots of farms in South Dakota.
Right. And these farmers were sleeping. But there was
sleeping with the fishes.
They had that, and then they had this other quick cut, and then it was a little back and forth there from the beginning. But we're just going to talk strictly about the farm for right now.
I didn't notice the 2 dead bodies when they were walking around the back of the building the first time I watched it.
They were just sleeping. When he said they're sleeping, the first thing I thought was, wow, you know, the woodsmen, they lulled people to sleep, and the bugs crawled in, and so maybe they were able to incapacitate these people without actually killing them. And then they're laying there, but they look like they're laying there like she's on his lap and he's sitting up, and there's no blood anywhere. So I'm still curious, are they sleeping or are they dead?
They're sleeping with the fishes, Joseph.
People kept saying Wyndham Earl was dead. Just because he had his soul sucked out of him doesn't mean he's dead. That's the way I looked at it. And I'm sure people think I'm crazy for thinking Wyndham Earl might still be alive. But yeah,
so no sign of Ray.
Yeah,
at all.
The farmers are just random. It just feels like this was just random. You know, the red handkerchief was the key. Hey, I'm here. You don't have to go any further. I don't know, but you know, those are the kind of things that we'll drive ourselves crazy trying to figure out. I like how Hutch said. He said it looks like you've been. He was talking about the blood coming out of him. Okay. Anyway, the way that Hutch talked was hilarious. I love Tim Roth. I think he nailed it.
We don't talk like that down here
in Louisiana. Maybe we're supposed to talk like this, but you know, sometimes you get out of the city and then you learn how to speak proper English.
This, that, those, and the other.
Yeah. I ain't got none. You know, we go way past double negatives.
Who dat?
Yeah, who that? Well, we'll see. Okay, so Chantel comes to patch Mr. C up. Doesn't look like he's bleeding out from the holes anymore, but he's got the blood all over him from the ritual from the episode before. Chantel patches him up. Hutch gets him some new phones and some guns, and there's like a ammo box or something. So he's setting up Mr. C. He's got him this new ride, a big old Silverado that he can run over people with, I guess. And then
He's a bully.
and they're husband and wife. That was established in the second part. Your husband Hutch. So they're not brother and sister. They're husband and wife. And yeah, he allows his wife to do whatever she wants to whoever she wants.
There's some couples out there like that.
Yeah, or maybe it's just the boss man. Maybe he's just really considerate to the boss man. So that was pretty much it. He makes a text. Mr. C texts someone. What was the text?
Around the dinner table, the conversation is lively.
And then he calls Duncan Todd. I was always confused because it seemed like Lorraine had been hired by someone and then she called this box in Buenos Aires. So I was having a hard time trying to figure out who was actually pulling the strings. My initial thought was always Mr. C.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Just because he was shown to us, and then this happens with this random guy in Las Vegas. So it's confirmed. Mr. C is the one calling the shots. He calls Duncan Todd, and Duncan Todd's the one that arranges the hits. Mr. C wants to see the progress of this last hit that was given, and Duncan Todd regrettably says, "Not yet." And Mr. C says, "Well, better be done by the time I call you. The next time I call you, whatever he said.
Next time call."
So I wonder if he's going to call him in the morning or something. Be nice, get this thing moving.
Well, he did say, as far as the hit on the warden that he gave to Chantel and Hutch, it needs to be done in 2 days.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he's hoping that hit, which is Dougie Jones.
Right, Dougie.
Now he says, "I have a double header for you after you're done with the warden."
He said, "I may have a double header for you in Las Vegas after you're done with the warden," right? And Hutch says, what does he say? "Let's play 2. That's right. Oh, let's play 2. He's so excited. I mean, when he finds out he has to kill a warden, he's like, "A warden? Oh, okay." I mean, these guys get off on it. You know, Jennifer Jason Leigh is such a force, and I was thinking, God, if she can get in the scene where she's actually, killing someone, it's going to be like an amazing scene. And then to think that Tim Roth would have been next to her, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is perfect.
Yeah.
I just would love to see Hutch and Chantel pay a visit to the warden, for starters. That would be nice.
Now, the 2 hits, you can assume one's Dougie Jones,
Right.
and you think maybe one of them could be Ike the Spike.
Yeah.
Get rid of the previous killer,
the trail.
tie up your loose ends.
Right.
Some people think it could be Todd and Dougie Jones.
Yeah, it could be Todd and Dougie Jones. It could be Todd and Ike.
I'm thinking it's Todd and what he thinks is Ike, but Ike's in custody now. Because I'm thinking Evil Coop's going after Dougie himself.
Yeah. I think.
If he says I may, but he's gonna give that guy time to finish the job. Not yet.
Yeah, and I may have a doubleheader. So if Duncan Todd,
But I think
comes
Duncan Todd is one of them, a definite.
Yeah, if he comes through, he won't be.
Right.
He might have to be anyway.
Yeah, he's tied up every loose end so far. He tied them all up.
He's tied them all up. That's right.
George has no idea about Phyllis and Mr. C and stuff like that. So him getting set up on Mr. C, George is not going to be a songbird for anyone. He doesn't know anything. So that every loose end that ties back to Mr. C has been extinguished.
Mm-hmm. Or there's plans to do it. Wow. So that means that he's just going to kill Duncan Todd whenever he's done with him.
Yeah. Who's his little buddy that he calls to come in the room?
Roger.
Roger to the rescue.
Right. The 2 people on that list might be Duncan Todd and Roger. But,
If Duncan Todd thwarts an attack by Chantel and Hutch,
well, yeah, really.
well, he would skyrocket up to the list of all-time favorite Twin Peaks characters. Because right now, all he's done is sit there and say hardly anything. He said 10 words, but he's a favorite. He's a favorite.
Not very many people show up and out of the blue become a Twin Peaks hero. But
Not quite like Diane. All she had to do was turn around.
and that text that was sent, we find out later Diane received it. We're not going to go into that right now because I have a lot of faith that Diane's a good girl, and we're going to talk about that later. We're done with the farm. Let's go to the plane with the FBI. You've got Colonel Davis calls Gordon, and Gordon says, "I don't appreciate your language. A place? Buckhorn." So he decides to make them turn the plane around. They're going to Buckhorn, and they're going to go check out Major Briggs. So while he's up talking to the pilot, first he asks Diane if she minds going, and of course she does, but as long as he liquors her up, that's fine. So he's going to get the liquor and talks to the pilot, and Diane pulls out her phone. It's like, my impression was she was bored. I'm stuck here. I'm going back to frickin' West South Dakota now, so I might as well just look at my phone. I guess nothing's happening because you're in mid-flight. I don't know if she's trying to make a call, trying to read text or whatever. It just says blocked. So I don't look into anything like she was expecting a call from Cooper or anything like that. At this point, Cooper's still in jail. So
yeah, at this point,
as far as she knows.
Yeah, as far as she knows, Coop's in jail.
Coop's in jail. He's not making phone calls.
Unless he phoned up.
Right. Wow. So the alcohol.
He called her when he got out of jail to let her know he was out, and we just didn't see that.
So she gets the liquor, which she and everybody else needs, trying to figure out this plot point of the plot in general. And then Gordon gets the phone call from Warden Murphy. And Warden says, "Your man's escaped." And Gordon says, "Cooper's flown the coop." Now that's when Diane realized, oh boy, if that's a boy, was running around. Okay, so what has happened? That was it for the plane.
Pretty much it. I mean, Colonel Davis picks up the phone and makes a phone call at the end of ends episode 7. Then we go to South Dakota, and then we meet. We pick up Diane.
Yeah.
We go to South Dakota. Yeah. Diane meets Evil Coop. They're crying. It's daylight, and then nighttime happens, and then the next morning they're flying home from South Dakota because it's 11 o'clock in the morning when they're flying home.
It's really weird.
It's just they spent the night in South Dakota, but that's neither here nor there, except that it feels like they would have jumped back on the plane and left right after that encounter with Diane and Mr. C.
The meeting was for 9 a.m. So you figure
9 a.m.
when Mr. C is making that text, the time on the phone says 11, so you got to figure it's 11 a.m. You hear the plane flying overhead.
Yeah, did you hear the plane flying overhead?
I thought that was beautiful.
It was awesome.
I think that's great. I mean, what other show does that?
But it is the next day, because I mean, Coop, Mr. C got shot that night.
Right.
So
definitely the next day. So I guess they spent the night in South Dakota. You know, and some of this might just be.
I think they got good barbecue.
Some of this might be a side effect of just having an 18-hour film and trying to chop it up into 1-hour increments, you know, and so some things get told out of sync and stuff. But yeah, this just feels a little weird to us. Well, that's one of our gripes, but it's probably nobody else noticed or even cared. Okay. So,
but I noticed the time was 11:09.
Yeah,
or something like
which
that.
Which would have made sense. They
on the Alcatel
at 9. They got back. Yeah.
Pink rhinestone cell phone.
Yeah. Those burners, and everybody's confused about what's the date because of all of this conflicting technology, and I'm kind of glad it's there. Just, you know, I thought if Twin Peaks got with the times and modernized, that I would hope there was still record players and jukeboxes, you know. So I'm glad there's a mix of old and new. And I guess these old cell phones are harder to track or something. I think they call them burners or whatever.
I have an Alcatel One Touch.
Dude, it's more recent.
It's
than
real
the
cheap.
one- It's more recent than the one on the show, though, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's got more features.
It's not a flip phone. It's all in one.
Does it take pictures?
It's on crack. Yeah, it takes pictures. It takes the videos too. Then I can put it on the face place.
On the yeah. That place.
On the face place.
So now we're going to a place. Excuse me. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department.
We went to 3 police departments last night.
And we see the lieutenants Fuscos.
Detectives Fusco.
That's right, Detectives Fuscos. And I'm going to assume they're brothers.
my
They might be
God.
cousins. But anyway, okay. But anyway, I thought these guys were just goofy. But it seems like they're getting a lot of stuff done. They're figuring a lot of stuff out. They're moving the plot along pretty good.
Quicker than the FBI.
Way faster than the Twin Peaks Sheriff Department. That's for sure. Yeah, these guys are doing great. They've got Bushnell, Mullins in, and waiting out there is Janie E. and Dougie Coop. And Dougie's drinking his coffee. And Bushnell Mullins is telling us why people have been so tolerant of Dougie's behavior. I guess 12 years ago, right before Dougie joined Lucky 7 Insurance, he was in a car wreck. And Bushnell explains that sometimes he has these lingering effects, and he's slow and steady, but he's a good employee and he's a pretty good citizen. Doesn't know about the hooking of a gambling or anything like that. And he's calling out corruption in the company, so I mean, the guy thinks he's a good guy. And I love how Bushnell keeps making that fist when he's talking, you know. And you know he's a boxer, and I just keep waiting for him to have the opportunity to smack somebody.
And it's probably going to be Anthony Sinclair.
Yeah, and yeah, I kind of hope he goes to Twin Peaks and meets Sarah. Don't you think they'd make a good couple? You saw a picture of them together, didn't you?
Yeah, it's publicity picture for one of those magazines. And Sarah Palmer, Grace Zabriskie, and Don Murray were in the picture together.
Yeah, and my first reaction was, who's this guy? Well, he hadn't acted in like 16 years. He basically came out of retirement to do The Return. But he's a classic actor and been in a lot of stuff. And
Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
he's doing a really good job of this too. It's subtle, and I mean there are a lot of older people in this show that are on the top of their game as far as acting goes.
Yeah.
That's one thing about some of the blogs and videos I've been watching lately, and people have a hard time recognizing actors, and then they're like, oh, that's him. Oh, he looks so old. It's 25 years later, so he's not going to look any younger. None of them are.
I love y'all that put pictures of when you first watched Twin Peaks and then pictures of what you look like today. It's the same thing. 25 years later. They're so young. They're still young now, though.
Lost some hair since 25 years ago. I've always been gray, though. That's always been the case. Okay, so the Fuscos, they're doing a great job. They're figuring out everything. When Bushnell walks out of the office, he's like, get this. There's no record of this Douglas Jones before 1997. And that's longer than 12 years away. I'm assuming we're in 2015. So if there's no record of Dougie since 1997, kind of gives credence to the thought of him being manufactured. And, nothing, no social birth certificate, anything like that.
Be about 6 years after Evil Coop got out.
Right.
And
perhaps there was a meeting of Saturn and Jupiter then or something. Maybe he had to try to come up with his game plan. Anyway, we're not gonna focus on that. It's strange. It's really strange. Where's my head? Oh Okay, so he asked if he still has a friend at the Justice Department to try to look into this. I mean, they're curious about Dougie now. He's his car was blown up and then he got shot at. So they think that somebody's after him. Their initial thought is witness protection. That's why we don't have anything on the Sky Report. 1997, he's in witness protection. So check what you got at Justice Department and see what we can come up with. And the other Fusco says, oh, wait, I got an idea. Check this out. He goes out there with a cup of coffee and offers it to Dougie. I got you a fresh cup. And then he takes the old one, and it's perfect. Now he's got the DNA and the fingerprints.
Which I thought last week or 2 weeks ago that Cooper's prints would be found on the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And they just beat around the bush a little bit, but it was pretty close.
Yeah, they would have been a partial print, but they did have the palm of Ike the Spike, and he's well known. So they're excited that he finally effed up, is what one of them said. And now they not only do they have the evidence to bust him for attempted murder, but this sergeant walks in and says, we got a 20 on him. You know, he's on this off-strip motel, and they go join the fun. So it's great. These guys, these three goofballs, are moving the plot along like a regular, crime drama would.
I would disagree with you that Twin Peaks is slower, though, than the FBI. I think they're the slowest. Twin Peaks has gotten just as far with the understanding of what's going on than anybody.
Yeah.
And they haven't used any kind of real, quote-unquote, factual investigative skills.
Right.
They've used just the mysteries.
Right. Kind of like
And
the way Dale
moving along just as fast as any forensics can do. I mean, I could Google Dougie and Janie E. and something would come up.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a couple anywhere written.
Yeah, if there's a marriage certificate.
So how many Janie E's they have in the world?
Janie. So before we leave Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, we have to touch on Dougie and Janie sitting out there. Well, David Lynch is a beautiful, beautiful filmmaker. The way he does this stare by Dougie as he's looking at the American flag, and they bring up America the Beautiful, and
It wasn't being played in the room. It was just being brought up. I think it is
in his mind.
In his mind,
He,
America the Beautiful.
It was bringing that memory, and it seemed as though it almost surfaced.
Yeah, I thought if he would have been left alone, he would have probably stood up and saluted or something.
Oh God, wouldn't that have been incredible? Yeah, it gives me the impression that maybe that's what's played when you graduate from Quantico, whatever. I mean, it was an awesome feeling. And then these red shoes break his concentration. A lot of people say that's Audrey's, a memory of Audrey. Diane wears red shoes too. I think it's just the color red, personally.
Yeah, I thought he was going to look back and get a slap by Janie E, thinking he was watching her legs or something.
Checking the girl out. Well, the way Lynch does it, he loves to work the whole body. So he starts from the top and works his way down, so you can see the whole figure of the woman before you get to the shoes. And then from the shoes, he notices the electrical socket.
We rewound it too. Was that Audrey? No.
I've heard Audrey's shoes were a different type. I'm not a female shoe connoisseur, but I know the color red. And
Yeah, they would have been saddle shoes more so.
You would.
Saddle shoes are more recognizable for Audrey than the reds, but
James would do better at your basic Trivial Pursuit than I would. Some of these things. I don't know much, but I know about Twin Peaks. That's why I want to talk about it. That was an awesome scene. I love that. I love the way Lynch handled that for that brief moment. You almost get to see what Dougie sees. It's a constant amazement. It's kind of like reminds me of Cooper. That's the way he was. Duck something back.
look, I saw an outlet.
I think I heard an electrical buzz. It started for a second, and then they switched the scene. Next, we go to the off-strip motel where Ike is. He's on the phone, and I knew we were going to hear him talk in the next episode. And he's trying to get a hold of a JT. And if you say Justin Timberlake,
JT.
and you just, it's probably not JT. We do know a Todd, a Duncan Todd. But anyway, JT, he's pretty much calling saying no cigar. I didn't get it done. Not only that, but I'm taking medical leave. The cops show up and they surround the hall, and poor Ike looks like he's going to jail now.
Once again, he had the jacket over his arm, and for a split second, I thought he was going to have a gun in there. And you just don't know with David Lynch. And even when he had his hands up, and you could see how big, that was really big.
Yeah,
for just that.
Yeah, well,
I thought he was going to aim that and boom through it. It's just, I love Lynch.
Yeah, I love how he does stuff. It's like subtle reveals constantly. And if you look into it real hard, you'll see so much more too. I mean, he went willingly. I figured Ike would try to run away or something.
Yeah. I wouldn't even go back to the room after that.
I mean,
It's not hard to spot. We're looking for a 4-foot person.
Yeah.
With a record.
Yeah, he
Get out of Las Vegas.
Oh, he was so sad. Like, I almost felt like he knew he was dead. Like, okay, there's no way you're killing this Dougie guy now from jail, so why not make a run for it? I think he'd get away too. He could fit him in places they couldn't.
Well, we still don't know. I mean, they could still be in the hallway next week after nighttime.
That's true. That's true. So that was it for Las Vegas, and the last time we see Dougie and everything going on there, the rest of the episode pretty much takes place in Twin Peaks, which is amazing for all you Twin Peaks fans that aren't watching anymore. We enter Twin Peaks with the guitar strum, that familiar. You can hear the bass. So beautiful, the sun shining through the trees, and we go in, and Andy and Lucy they're there, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, Andy, what's going on with the truck? Have you found the owner of the truck yet? Did you find the farmer? He didn't show up.
No, Andy ain't looking for the truck. He's looking for sofas.
He's looking for, he's furniture shopping.
It's furniture shopping.
And why aren't they shopping at Horn's department store, Home Furnishings?
I bet he's jacked up the price. Sounds like he's in a little financial trouble. Probably all those medical bills for Audrey. But yeah, you're supposed to be looking for the owner of the truck. Now, just like us finding out everything that happened with where we'll get to later with the Matthew Lillard, we'll probably find out the same thing about the farmer, a.k.a. Billy, a.k.a. the owner of the truck.
Right.
That we'll just find out that still, All Points Bulletin's still out for the farmer, and we can't find him yet.
The death of this child.
But you're sitting there shopping on the computer instead of your job.
The death of this child, which, a lot of us at the time are contemplating, is this going to be, this horrible thing that happened that's just so tragic and affects the entire town, and the people standing around, and then all of a sudden, no, we're going chair shopping. And I'm assuming that they're trying to find furniture for their new, what is this, a library?
The study.
Wally's old room is going to be a study, and they're picking out furniture for it. Lucy likes the beige, Andy likes the red. And there's a lot of people out there who looked at this scene and came away from it thinking one of them had to be trying to screw over the other. And it's a sign of the times, I think, because when I saw the scene, I thought, I saw two people that loved each other, two people that compromised, and it was beautiful.
They were happier doing something for the other person than themselves.
Now, why not turn around and just talk to each other? Instead, you get up and walk, because you love them so much you want to be next to them. That's why you do something like that. That's why you walk to the person and get next to them. I know with cell phones and stuff like that, it's real easy to just stay disconnected, but they could have just literally spoke to each other without getting up. Lynch does a beautiful scene with this, and I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I want to see when the chair gets delivered, and I want to see that reaction by him.
We'll probably not get that.
Yeah, I know. It's a little thing.
So Andy wasn't playing
what do you call it? Reverse psychology.
I couldn't think anywhere.
Yeah, people do it all the time instinctively. And that's why I think they were just showing us how much these two deserve to be together. The compromise, which is what's missing in relationships.
Yeah, the cynical world of today.
I think this is what we call irony because we're the most cynical people we know. I hate commercials. God, every time a commercial comes on, and my wife gets aggravated with me, but I'm sorry, I hate commercials. I hate everything about them. Okay, so that's our first scene in Twin Peaks Sheriff Station. We cut to this insane scene, I'm going to assume is in Sylvia Horne's home, whether that's the Great Northern or whether they're estranged, whether they have an argument. But anyway, as soon as I heard her voice, I knew it was her. She calls to a Mary, so maybe we'll find out who Mary is. You let him out again? And then she starts calling for Johnny, and Johnny's running around. Now, we saw Johnny in the first season and the second season. He was dressed as a Native American shooting darts at buffaloes in one scene. What a wonderful world we live in. Johnny was, at the time, 27 years old in the 3rd grade. He had emotional problems, and a lot of the fan base, for some reason, they think that Audrey caused his condition by pushing him down a flight of stairs or something. I don't know if that was written in anything or not. Do you remember that?
No.
Okay. But anyway, this was Johnny, and I knew it was Johnny right from the get-go, and he runs full speed throughout the house until he slams his head against the wall. Bam! And I love the light in the hall flashing. So rich. He cracked his skull against the wall. Now, he was breathing when he was laying there. I saw his body going up and down. But he hit the wall so hard it knocked 2 pictures down. One of them was of Falls, and another one was of Eisenhower. And Sylvia runs up to him, and she's like, oh my God. I mean, that's what happens when you let Johnny out.
That's what happens when you don't have a Mary watching them.
I bet Mary's going to be fired after this.
Come on, Jade!
Unbelievable manic scene. And we still have all these threads to try to get Audrey involved in this show. They still won't give her to us. I mean, we've seen her mom, we've seen her dad, we've seen her brother, we've seen her uncle, and this room.
And we've seen who could potentially be her son or her brother or her nephew or her cousin. Whoever Richard is, he's one of those.
Or her former sister, now brother.
I don't know.
Yeah, we're not going to complicate it.
21st century
already is. But yeah, we're still in Twin Peaks. The next thing we do is go to Betty Briggs' house.
Charlotte Stewart.
And this scene was one of my favorite scenes in Twin Peaks history. I love it that much. It's just beautifully done from beginning to end.
New music by Angelo, The Chair.
Unbelievable song, unbelievable effect. And Charlotte Stewart was just impeccable. She was subtle. I've seen Charlotte Stewart in other things, and she emphasizes different things at different times, and she becomes these other characters. And when she was on that screen, she was Betty Briggs all over again.
Uh-huh.
I mean, instantly. It was just like Richard Beymer playing Ben and David Patrick Elliott. Charlotte Stewart, unbelievable. And the story, the way it was written, the detail, the direction, the way it was cared for, and the conveying of this, this classic story and a classic feel, this strained relationship between Bobby and his dad. And I don't know, there was just so much hope in it, so much.
Well, the song, another original that Angelo wrote, was Where the Child Died, the car wreck. Mm-hmm. And that one, you can tell that it was written before it was filmed because of the bunch of shots with extras that Lynch usually doesn't do. It was filling up the void to where that crescendo comes in the song for certain parts. In this one, it felt like the song was written before the scene was shot, but written with a script, and the way it was filmed, it played out beautifully. Mm-hmm. The pauses, Bobby's holding back this time, and biting his, and everyone kind of finally agreeing to coffee and letting out a smiling sigh of relief. They're all smiling at the end.
Mm-hmm.
because they knew the weight of the situation, and it's like, let's let's do something we're familiar with real quick.
And I guess anyway, I don't want to get into particulars, but if they sat down and had coffee, that there was plenty of time for Bobby to explain how this thing works. But we're just doing things the way things are done.
You can't have that awesome moment with Chip later. Chad.
That's why I don't mind, because that scene is, we're gonna get to that first, but next. But right now we're gonna talk about what happened with the Betty scene. She knew that Bobby and Hawk and Sheriff Truman were gonna show up one day and ask about Dale Cooper, and Major Briggs told her 25 years ago that when they show up, you give them this, and it was a cylinder that was in a hidden compartment in a chair. This is the chair. It was a red chair, and I'm sure Lynch in real life built that little hidden compartment. He loves stuff like that. And she
thought the chair looked familiar to the one in the White Lodge, but it's not.
It's so similar.
It's real similar, but
different.
It is different.
Yeah. And basically, she gives it to the sheriff, and that should conclude the scene. But what made the scene so beautiful was how she reminisced how Bobby was a long way away from the man he is today back then. And we realized that half the community was so shocked that he was a deputy now. Bobby was a deputy now. But I've had 25 years to think about this stuff, and I thought that if Bobby decides to follow in his father's footsteps, it would be, military, police, something like that. And I'm glad to see that Bobby did it, and this was confirmation. I mean, his father knew. It brings us back to that story that was told to him in season 2 by his father, the dream he had, where he woke with this sense of confidence in Bobby's future. Bobby's supposed to be very content at this moment in this dream, and I see Bobby, and I wonder what his relationship is to Shelley. And I'd like to think that he's completely content in his life, but I'm not going to be confident of that until I find out if they're still married, if Becky's his kid. I don't know, you're making me mad, but I tell you what, we got Bobby back. And Bobby was a great part in this episode.
Dana Ashbrook, yep.
He's doing a good job. And he's become somebody different. I didn't like Bobby before. I like Bobby now. He's doing the right things.
I always liked Dana Ashbrook. Didn't like Bobby so much.
Yeah, Dana Ashbrook. Yeah, he's great. So before they go to the sheriff's department and figure out what this little cylinder does, we go to Buckhorn, because that's where the FBI ends up going. When they change their direction, they show up, and Gordon's like, "This is the waiting room," and Diane's gonna wait. She has no interest in seeing a dead body, and then she tells Detective Dave Mackley, "If this is a morgue, of course I can smoke." And then whenever everybody leaves the room, she calls them fucking pansies, and then she checks her phone.
But she does kind of look before she digs in her purse.
Yeah.
She does kind of check to see if she's alive.
It's so well balanced, you're not sure what's going on, how this is going to play out. That's when she sees she's got a text from an unknown number, and I don't know if she knows what it means or not.
I'm hoping she's been playing her own game of playing Mr. C, knowing, but yeah, I'm just hoping for the best for Diane. I don't want to see dirty Diane.
And her hair is all white, just like Leland's turned all white. It's just...
Give us a Lynchian twist here. I met Laura Dern.
That's right.
You've worked with her twice.
You were in a movie as an extra that she was in. You got to meet her.
Yes.
How did that go down?
She signed my Wild at Heart. How did it go down? We showed up. It was for the movie 99 Homes with Andrew Garfield, and we were going to set that morning, and Andrew was in the passenger seat. I was behind him. When we pulled up to the house, I could see her figure. She wasn't even facing us. She was facing the other way, but when I saw her figure, I said, "Is that Laura Dern?" And Andrew turned around and said, "Yeah, she's playing my mom." The driver was like,
"You were in the truck with Andrew Garfield?"
They brought us to the set every day. I wasn't an extra.
No, you were a featured extra.
And the driver's like, yeah, we didn't even know she was coming till today. Then we worked 2 days. Kicked her out of her house. I kicked her out of her house. Then got my Wild at Heart sign the second day. Brought it, ran home and grabbed it, shoved it in my bag, got it signed. Forgot to take a picture.
Oh,
What can you do?
I love her. She's a force.
She was awesome. She was really nice.
We're hoping for the best things for Diane. So we've got Gordon, we've got Albert, Diane's in the waiting room, we've got Tammy, who I often forget about for some reason. We've got Dave Mackley, and we've got Constance and Lieutenant Knox. And Constance is in this morgue, and I'm waiting for everyone to walk through the door, and I started screaming, Albert's gonna be in the same room with Constance, oh my God!
We were bragging about Constance last week.
And when Albert comes in, Constance looks at her, and then she looks down at his body, and then she looks back up at his
She scoped
face.
him
Oh,
out.
man. There was some sexual tension going on over that beheaded corpse. It's unbelievable. And she was they were so impressed with each other. First of all, Albert's going to try to run the little town in the ground with his whimsical.
Yeah, he comes at him just like he did in Twin Peaks. He's like, let me mess with the primates.
This is your high school principal? Constance is like, he was also marbles champion in the 6th grade. Albert's smart ass has got to come through. He says, so when did he lose his marbles? And Constance says, that'd be about the time his dog ate his cat's eyes. Oh my God. And then Albert cracks a smile. And Gordon's checking him out the whole time. He looks at both of them. It's so good. I never would have thought that they would get together. I thought they were similar, and I thought, oh my God, this is Constance is like the.
But once he walked in the room, there was no doubt. Before he walked in the room, there was like, this can happen.
Yeah.
I saw sparks.
Yeah. And he was talking to the others, and then when he turns back and looks at Constance, he checks her out for a second. He scopes her too. And then when Albert just from looking at the body says, this is a body of a man in his 40s. Constance is like, that's right. Oh my gosh. So
Constance Rosenfield.
good. You see, Lynch does such a good job, and Mark Frost and David Lynch, of characters that we're not even talking about the plot. We're just talking about the awesome chemistry, man. It's just so good. So remember he says we get all the information from Mackley first. This is the stuff we were complaining about this past week. We need some of these issues tied up, and they were tied up all right, and just delivered to us. And I'll walk down the hallway.
Yep.
The body of Phyllis was found. The gun was the lawyer's. What's his name?
George. Apparently it was George.
And so they arrested George.
He's in custody.
And then the next day, Betty's car blows up.
Now this bothers me. If you need to get coordinates from Betty, and the only person that can get it is Ray, but you know where Betty's going to be to wire her car. Why can't you be there to waterboard her into telling you the coordinates? Unless he had to be somewhere, it just doesn't make sense, because the only place he had to be was to get to Ray to get the coordinates.
Yeah, that was before the 253 thing happened, and so maybe he thought he couldn't physically do it, but they wired the car before he even knew the coordinates were gotten. He found out later. They wired the car, and then he goes to the hotel, and that's when Daria says, yeah, Ray got some information. I don't know what it is, but he did say the woman told him something. So it's just weird that he'd want to blow this woman up.
Yeah.
You know, without approaching her, without solidifying the evidence and stuff. Yeah, that bothered me too.
It's something that's like, it can't be written right again, not again.
You and I were wondering if they were ever going to figure this stuff out, and they gave it to us in this walk down the hall.
Walk down the hall. I think it'll be the same thing with the guy who owns the truck.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a walk down the hall.
Yeah.
We hadn't found him yet.
That poor kid died. We really need to focus on him.
We're not going to find out what happens to her.
instead of shopping for chairs. So yeah, we said we were the fans that loved it, and we're gonna slam it for these things. But I mean,
Well, these are things we were asking about. It's like, well, wait a minute. If you need coordinates from Betty and you wired her car, and that was in episode 2, part 2.
Yeah.
So we've been like, just what is all this running around in circles for?
I guess, yeah, right. All this stuff happened while we were watching all this other stuff happen. So we finally get all the information, and Albert says, "So what happens in season 2?"
Evelyn shows up.
Evelyn and little Nikki, and they just ruined the whole thing. Maybe that's what Ella and Chloe are.
Oh yeah, it was a precursor to the second half of the movie.
Constance shows everybody the ring too that was in Major Briggs' stomach. To Dougie, with love, Jamie E.
I was hoping for a second there that Gordon Cole was saying, "We've got to meet this." I was hearing it, Dougie Jones, and it wasn't. "We've got to meet this William Hastings."
Uh-oh. Yeah, so that's where we're going next. No, actually, yeah, we actually skip. We go to the sheriff's and then we go back there. But we're gonna finish. We're gonna finish with this in Buckhorn. So they send Tammy in to interview Bill. Great move. Let Tammy show what she's got. Of course, Bill's willing, and he's crying. He's
Get back to me on that in a second.
okay. I've already forgot.
If there would have been a better actor across the table from Matthew Lillard, I think his performance would have been better. Some people think it's hit and miss. I thought he was on his way to getting a award nomination. This one, I saw by edit where it was heightened and where it was lowered, and I think a better actor across from him would have helped him. Therefore, it doesn't matter if you think she did a good job or not. All of you out there that think she's tolerable, she didn't. She didn't.
She's got a pretty voice, but I don't care for the music, and I usually like stuff like that. But anyway, Bill must have been lying the whole time he was interviewed by Mackley in the second episode, because he seems like he's about his capacity now, and he's telling the story about he's got a blog with Ruth. It's called The Search for the Zone. And
Time Zone.
he reads a lot. And when Tammy first walks in, he's crying. Bill's crying. And he's crying melodically. It's almost like he's recalling a song that reminds him of him and Ruth. And I mean, he is way overboard about his love for Ruth now, and I'm convinced he didn't kill her. I'm convinced his fingerprints are everywhere because he'd been there having an affair with her.
Yeah, he was hiding that fact at first, and then he stumbled over his words,
But I guess there is a blog, and the FBI checked it out, and the last entry was, "We met the Major." So she wants to know what the heck happened. Apparently, Ruth was able to acquire some coordinates, and if they went there, they would meet someone. So they went there, and they met the Major. And the Major said he was hibernating, which is a good way of explaining why he didn't age when everybody else did in the lodge. I don't know. I thought he was just time jumping, and it just didn't take a long time. He called it hibernating. And he was there, but he was afraid other people were going to find him, so he wanted to go somewhere else, and he needed coordinates to get there. And Ruth has this ability to uncover these hidden truths, so she accessed some secret military database and acquired coordinates, the coordinates that Major Briggs wanted. Ruth and Bill went back there that Thursday. That was the day in question. He was missing time. They went back there to give the coordinates to Garland Briggs. So they go back to the place, they give Briggs the coordinates, and all of a sudden Briggs floats up. He says, "Cooper, Cooper," and then his head disappears. And Bill thought this was beautiful. It was something no one's ever seen before.
That gold stuff coming out the giant's head, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Fireman.
But then he described how other people showed up and somebody was holding him down and demanding him to say his wife's name. Phyllis. He said Phyllis. And they were holding him down. He went from this beautiful vision of the Major to Ruth being dead all of a sudden. She was dead and it was horrible. And he held her. And then bam, he wakes up and he's in his house. So I guess he thought it was a dream at first, but he knew he was going there, right? Maybe it's all just coming to him now. I don't know. It just seems weird. It seems like, I don't know whether to trust what he's saying or not. But the coordinates that he gave to Major Briggs are not known. Nobody knows this now. Betty's dead. Bill, I guess Bill knows it. He said that Ruth wrote it down. That Ruth's body's missing. She wrote it on her hand. So maybe Bill doesn't know it.
Maybe not. So written down on the real website are the coordinates, but they weren't written down on the website, the blog.
Yeah, in the show.
In the show. They weren't. I mean, it's not.
Mr. C probably found out that Bill knew this stuff through reading the blog in the show.
Yeah, found them. But yeah, the coordinates are there for us here in reality.
Just so we can have some fun. Yeah, this is like a publicity.
Look it up and see. I hadn't. Is it White Sands? That's what I was assuming. It was the convenience store. It's probably with the coordinates. That's what I'm assuming.
I haven't been on social media much in the last day since the episode. I went on Facebook for a second, but saw what a lot of people were thinking.
I like a lot of people congregating there. He said there were so many.
I know.
Sounds like woodsmen to me. It sounds like they're getting ready for something. An opening's fixing to happen, and there's about to be a bombardment coming through.
I mean, I almost picture Mr. C holding Bill Hastings down, getting this information from him. But I don't know. We're going to see. And there's still questions about how Major Briggs' body ended up in reality decapitated, and Ruth's head are being decapitated. So, they might shine some more light on that. He seemed genuine at the time. He was crying. He started wishing that he could go to the Bahamas.
Scooby Dooby Dooby
Scooby Dooby Dooby. That poor guy, he wanted to drink mixed drinks on the beach and watch the beautiful sunset. I think he still got a shot. I do. I think there was a lot of emotion there. When you're really crying hard about a loved one lost, you do sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
it was good.
Yeah, Lynch likes to make these awkward moments too. I think of Grace Zabriskie in the pilot of the original series.
Can you do it more over the top?
Right. Some people laughed, some people cried and sympathized, and things are awkward. He likes to present things like that. It's in reality, and you make your own perception. I love it. Just like how you feel about Truman's wife. You think she's aggravating until you find out her son's dead, and it's like, oh yeah, ain't I a jerk? That's why
you know when someone's crying and you just lost somebody, but they're crying uncontrollably and they're snotting all over themselves, and you're like, feel for them at the same time. It's like, wipe your nose. You can't help yourself. It's just human nature, I guess. We do care. We feel for you.
And Matthew Lillard, you're doing all right. Scooby Dooby.
I still think if it would have been somebody else across from him, we wouldn't be scratching our heads. It was kind of hit and miss this week. Candy Clark to me is all miss, but that's a different story.
Oh, I think Tammy Preston is all miss.
That's what
all miss for me.
All miss.
You have that one scene where Diane's smoking, and Gordon Cole and Tammy goes out there.
She doesn't even stand normal.
No, Tammy's moving around constantly. Like, she's supposed to be uncomfortable because she doesn't like Diane. The only thing Diane's ever said to her is, fuck you, Tammy. So I love the fact that it's uncomfortable. I love the fact that Gordon...
Exactly 1 minute from the time he finishes his sentence till he takes a drag.
Yeah, it's
a lot of looking back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that he was looking at her and trying to say something that only they would understand, but he was looking at her cigarette too and contemplating smoking a cigarette. I mean, I was right there with that when Diane offered it. I think Tammy and I at the same time said, Gordon. I said, no. She said, Gordon. And it was like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
They haven't had any tobacco opposers come out and hate on Lynch for promoting cigarette smoking, even though it's a TVMA, and still haven't seen that in a very long time where somebody actually said, you don't see cigarette commercials anymore, where somebody actually takes a wow, like a joint. Wow, this is good.
And anyone that knows about Lynch in his private life, he loves coffee and cigarettes. I think he said he smokes 2 packs a day and drinks 27 cups of coffee. Oh, God. And he's 70-something years old.
4 is good.
So Gordon Cole quit smoking, but he takes this one drag. That was what you were talking about. The languid Lynch is getting a little more tolerable in these episodes that are chock full of moving the plot.
When you see it coming, like with the brothers as well. Fusco?
Yeah.
The brothers Fusco. He languishes there for a while, even with Dougie. I mean, there's only one line spoken, really, by Naomi Watts. And Dougie only says one word.
I was so captivated in that scene.
But as long as you're not doing it every scene, then it's you can expect it and you tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then there's Jerry and that
There's
languished as well.
2 minutes and 15 seconds of sweeping to me was like, if I'd have liked the song a little more, I'd have been okay with it. But yeah, next time I watched it, I just got up and danced. Like I was in a bar and they were sweeping up and they were still playing music. I got up and danced for 2 minutes and 15 seconds before shot dancing the phone. Okay, anyway, so that was it for Buckhorn. Now we're going back to Twin Peaks Sheriff Station and the Jerry thing happened, didn't it? Jerry was in the woods, and he wasn't moving his foot. It looked like he was walking up a hill, and his foot just wasn't moving. And he was checking his foot out, and his foot started talking to him and said,
I am not your foot.
And Jerry starts to contemplate whether he's going to attack it or something, and then finally he grabs it and says, she's screaming, go away! And then he's able to pick his foot up and he flips and I laughed so hard.
Well, the entire time when scene first started, I was thinking a real indication, and my feet were so far away from me, man.
I can't believe it. And then you think about the one-armed man, and maybe Jerry's going to be a one-foot man.
There's something going on there. Like he's got a 1 foot planted in reality, and Jerry's gone places.
What's salvia? That's a drug.
Yeah, some crap. You smoke it. It's like fake weed, worse than bath salts type thing.
Okay, so if he would have smoked that, maybe he'd have got this.
So that's not legal.
This isn't the marijuana that he's dispensing. God, I would hate to smoke marijuana and my foot start talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was it. That was the weird scene by Jerry. And now we're going to the Twin Peaks Sheriff Station. They show up. They walk in. Sheriff Truman says, hi, Lucy. It's like, I'm not here. I'm on my lunch break. The shot of those deputies walking in that station is, to me, so classic, so iconic. That was a member berry for me. Just seeing those guys walk in, even though I hadn't been a deputy, just seeing those guys walk in and the way Lynch filmed it, so classic. It reminded me so much of the old show. They go to the conference room. Chad is eating in the conference room. He's not supposed to be. Sheriff Truman tells him to leave, and nobody wants to help him because nobody likes him. You guys eat donuts and coffee in here all the time. Chad, take your lunch to the lunchroom. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nobody wanted to open the door for him. He leaves, and then these guys end up leaving like a second later because they need to go outside. Bobby knows how to open this thing. He's having fun with them. The sheriff and the Hawk are trying to figure it out. Bobby knows how to open it. We got to go back outside. They go back outside. Bobby spikes this thing like a football. Bam! He grabs it and listens to it. It's got a buzzing coming, a humming and a buzz. It's not the same hum from the Great Northern. Not at all. You can hear little mechanical devices moving around in it. But he lets Truman hear it. He lets Hawk hear it. Hawk's like, what the? And then Bobby says, shh. And then you hear that little final mechanical thing, and then the buzzing stops. And as soon as it does, Bobby spikes it again. Bam! And that's what opens it. He gives it to Truman. Truman opens it, pulls out 2 little pieces of paper. And this is the message that Major left for him. They're supposed to go to a place called Jack Rabbit's Palace. And they're supposed to walk 253 feet yards east. Before they leave, they have to take some dirt from Jack Rabbit's palace and put it in their pocket. And there's 2 triangles on it, which reminds me of Twin Peaks. It reminds some people of the tattoos and stuff from when people got visited and stuff, but are abducted. But it looks like Twin Peaks to me. There's a red circle, and then there's a crescent shape, and then the design that is similar to either the Owl Cave ring design or what was on that playing card, which are both pretty similar. And there's a time written, 2:53, and there's 2 dates written, October 1st, October 2nd. This date is, the day we're on is September 29th. So Truman says in 2 days, we'll go up there and you can lead the way, Bobby, just like your dad wanted. This was a place that Bobby knew. He named the place, and him and his dad went up there, and they had their stories. They told stories. Sounds like a magical place.
Now, if you go back and look in episode 3, when Cooper is with the American girl, Ronette Pulaski, the actress Phoebe Augustine, playing the American girl, she looks at her watch, and it says 2:52. It changes to 2:53.
That's when the little lamp went off.
And it also said SA Saturday, and it had a 1, which to me is the 1st.
Yeah.
Her watch said it was Saturday the 1st, and that's when they plan on going there.
Right, they plan on going on October 1st. That couldn't have been September 1st. That could have been any date. I'm under the assumption that Coop left this place on October 1st, and he arrived in the past and took Dougie's place. And I just think there's some weird thing that's going to happen where maybe Coop exits again, and this time instead of going in with Dougie, he goes to where the guys are all going, east of Jack Rabbit's Palace. But
It's designed
weird thing. Yeah.
15 different times. Major Briggs's prints were found, so I would assume he jumped 15 times or 16 times before getting his head caught up. But I think it's all under his design that whatever's happening now is supposed to happen with Cooper, that he will end up where he needs to be when they're there, and it's all been designed by the Major.
So he may have sacrificed himself if he really is dead in the end. I've got this theory that he swallowed that ring so they could find it and make the connection. I've got this theory that
I always did think that too. Yeah.
At first I thought, okay, this is some weird cult thing. You know, maybe Dougie's ring goes in the Major, and then Dougie's ring is replaced
That was
by
the original
Owl Cave
thought.
ring.
Yeah.
You know, and the ritual of the Black Lodge, they do everything like that. There's always a ritualistic feel to everything they do, gathering around the table. You know, or the.
But once we found out that it was Major Briggs, that the body was that of Major Briggs, then it started to seem like he would want to point the FBI in the direction. So he swallowed the ring before he was decapitated.
Those are some of those things we might not ever figure out, but man, that's weird.
Weird?
Not Twin Peaks. No, it couldn't be.
This is actually a pretty straight-laced episode. Straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got your little time thing. That's more X-Files than it is, weird. X-Files weird than it is last week's episode weird.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, Twin Peaks didn't really mess with time much, the original series, all that much, I don't think. Everything was just slowed down and a lot. And we started having these thoughts of time jumping and everything else, really in the return. Some people probably thought about it waiting for 25 years. I don't like the whole two different time things going on. At first I thought Twin Peaks was going on in reality and everything else was just Cooper's dream, until that room key was mailed by Jade and arrived at the Great Northern. That connected the two realities to me.
now it could have arrived. A lot of people think that Matthew Lillard's character Hastings, when he wrote the date next to Major Briggs's picture, that he wrote 9/20.
Right.
And it really looks like 9/20.
It does look a
You
lot.
see that his hand comes down finally. When he wrote that 20 and you look at it, he does go up and then down.
It comes down. You see
It
him
could be
go
just
down,
a very off looking
slide
9. It's definitely, he comes down with the pen, it's next to the line of the picture.
Right. That's
So it's there. He did come down with it. So I'm going to still assume it's the 29th.
Yep. I'm going by Truman's assessment. 2 days from the 29th of September is the 1st of October, and that's what I'm going with. And I think that's a 9/29 that Bill Hastings wrote. So I'm going with that for sure.
If it's 9/20 and we're looking at it differently,
We'll figure it
it'll be neat to figure it out later. But it's not really.
It's not obvious to me. There's nothing obvious anymore. I think everything in the story right now is linear, except the American Girls Watch saying the 1st.
Yeah.
And they're going someplace and they got to be there on the 1st or the 2nd. Maybe that's the second socket. It'll come out on October 2nd.
Who knows? I wish they had a month. And then when I looked at Cooper's phone, they didn't have a date. They didn't have a date on Diane's phone either.
Yeah, when they were sending texts and stuff.
So it's really going to start having to you zoom in more on clocks or something, because
A calendar would be nice.
yeah, just the fact that we got 10/1 and 10/2 is something that
Yeah, that is weird. Well, if you don't show up on the 1st, you can always come back on the 2nd if it doesn't work out.
yeah, like a 48-hour window.
The only thing left in the episode was we went to the Great Northern and had those two incredible night shots. And the first one, that usually the falls and then the hotel. This time it was the hotel and the falls. But that hotel shot has been used in season 2. It's a beautiful thing. They're chasing the hum again, Beverly and Ben. They're in Beverly's office, another nightcap. Maintenance couldn't find the source of the hum. And there's a moment when they get really close and Ben calls it off. Says, I can't do this because since I won the Civil War, I'm a changed man. And I'm gonna give him props for that. I really am. I think that was Ben in Sylvia's house, and I think Ben went home to take care of his son Johnny. Poor Johnny.
Taking care of his daughter Audrey.
That too. We haven't heard a single thing about Audrey yet. She hadn't been mentioned once. That would have been interesting if Sylvia would have been saying, Audrey, you let Johnny out.
Oh, that would have been mean.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get Audrey. But we're not going to get Ben and Beverly humping because Ben's a changed man. And we end the episode in the Roadhouse with two new characters, Ella and Chloe. Ella has a wicked rash that Lynch wants us to see. And, we feel it. He shows it to us. And so well, we feel it. Oh, it makes me like, bitch, what is that? Is that a reaction to Sparkle?
It could be. She ran out of places to shoot up where she could hide it.
They made these two girls look horrible and just, we assume they're in the drugs, they're in the Roadhouse. I was thinking one of them got pimped out. Maybe that's where the rash came
Now
from.
they're waiting for a gig. That's what I thought. Like Laura sitting in the Roadhouse waiting to get some Johns. That's what I think they're. Why haven't I seen you lately? Or have you seen the penguin? Have you seen the zebra?
Yeah, weird.
Is it the same one? Zebra. You know, the zebra got out. Then she said, "Have you seen the penguin?"
Yeah, Chloe says the zebra got out, and then later on Ella asks, "Have you seen the penguin?" Zebras and penguin are black and white. They're referring to one person. I'm pretty sure the same person, because Ella doesn't get it at first, and then she's like, "Oh," and then she says, "Yeah, I've seen them." So whoever this person is must be a black and white mix of some sort. I gotta assume, since they say zebra and penguin.
Yeah, we're gonna find out.
I don't know where she got that rash from. It reminded me of the bug too, crawling into the girl's mouth. It's like, yeah, just lynches, just. Ugh. And then we end with a performance from the band that played before, and they're wearing the same clothes, and I'm gonna ignore all that. I mean, that's just the way it happened. They filmed everybody in one day, and they didn't worry about changing clothes. They wore the same outfit when they played several days later at the Roadhouse. They just dressed the same. Go on with that. I'm not going to talk too much about the bands. I like them. I'm going to buy all the soundtracks when they come out. So that's it. We are done covering part 9. This is the chair.
I'm gonna go try and decipher the sitting around the kitchen table or whatever. I forgot. How's it go again?
Around the
dinner table. The conversation is life.
Sounds like something from a book.
Or like my Clint Eastwood and Old West action thing. You rearrange the letters and spell something else.
You go ahead, have fun with that one.
Yeah, no, that's gonna be tough. I got a couple of these. I can spell "and" in there a couple times. That's how you start with these things. You get your conjugate. You conjugate.
RTLS.
ARE. That's where you start. Now I'm gonna see if the internet can do it.
So our next episode is part 10. Laura is the one.
Who do you think's gonna say Laura is the one?
I'm gonna guess Johnny Moore.
That's such a good guess. We're swinging for the fences now, because I'm gonna say Major Briggs will be the one to say Laura is the one.
All right. You say Major Briggs. I say Johnny. That's not Dougie, is it?
No, R.I.P. Steve. Friend passed away today.
Bye, Steve. We'll see you on the other side. If you have to go through the White Lodge and Black Lodge on your way to perfection,
Through the clouds and thunder.
you'll make it, my brother. You'll make it. And we'll see you there. Maybe Coop will be there to help you along the way. Coop,
Actually, Harry Goaz was one of the first to send me a condolence. Deputy Andy, thank you.
There you go. That's such a nice guy on social media. I commented last night about how much I loved Charlotte Stewart's performance, and she wrote me back and said, "Thanks, Wayne. My name's Joseph Wayne." She said, "Thanks, Wayne."
Now I thanked Charlotte Stewart. She didn't like it, but Sabrina Sutherland commented on my about Charlotte's performance. She said
She didn't give you a like on your post.
I said it was a great performance, and she commented it was a brilliant performance.
So yeah, Sabrina Sutherland commented on the thing to this. I would love to meet her.
No.
I want to be her friend. You're Facebook friend. I want to be your friend. So that's it. We are two Twin Peaks nerds, and this is Twin Peaks Twin Perspective. I hope you enjoyed the video. Two people who love Twin Peaks and who give it to you real. That's what happened. And next episode, we have no idea what's going to happen, and that's why we love this show. You guys subscribe to Rosenfield 10, please, and you'll see more videos like this. Twin Peaks Twin Perspective. This is the chair. I am Joe.
I'm James.
And we're done, and we're going to talk to you later. You guys have a wonderful night. Bye.